we get a little bit of a little guy leaning up. I'm paying attention. And
Right,
now we're getting a lot of video clips through there. And of course, we know that he has a huge, just a huge community.
Hi, friends. Welcome back. So that was Stockmo on CNBC, and unfortunately, it demonstrates that much what you see on TV and on YouTube in the financial space is largely entertainment. The Stockmo guy, he's been making countless videos on the GameStop stuff. This is just, you can see here, a day ago, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. The guy makes the same video 3 times a day, and that's essentially what his channel is. If you may not know this, I live in Korea, and it's actually 3:30 in the morning when I'm recording this. I had a nightmare slash dream, and I woke up and it just was on my mind, and I checked the headlines and everything kind of matched together. I'll tell you about my dream, and hopefully this all makes sense. It'll all tie in. I was invited in this dream. I was invited by a couple of the scammy YouTuber people to hang out and try to make peace, and I went over to this person's house, and a couple of them were there. And the one person I just didn't like, and no matter what they would say, I was like, I just don't want to talk to that guy, whatever. And there was another guy who was a little bit nicer, and it's like, okay, I'm a nice guy. I'll try to make some conversation. And more that we sort of, I guess, dug into more conversation, I realized I don't want anything to do with these people, and I left. The reason why these conversations come up, or sort of this dream comes up, is because I got an email, I want to say 3 or 4 days ago. It was by some sort of social media agent person, and they said, hey, we work with these other 3 finance YouTubers, and we want you to join our little, compadres or a little gang. And I didn't respond. I probably could just say no, but just I don't want to touch that. And they've emailed me a couple times now. And the point is that what I'm trying to say is sometimes you get a feeling about someone and you're like, you definitely don't want to talk to them, right? So that's kind of easy. Other times you're just like, well, they're nice to me, and maybe I'll hang out with them, and we'll find out. But ultimately you figure out, oh my God, I definitely don't want to talk to them either. Sort of what I do with this channel, I tell with you guys is try to warn you about this kind of stuff. And unfortunately, just the world that we live in, say with the Stockmo situation on the CNBC, a lot of people out there will essentially promote these kind of things, be it your GameStops or whatever, and they don't really care about you. It's just all entertainment. When I told you guys about this GameStop stuff, and it was like so ridiculous, this is the market that we're in right now, where some random person tweets out some picture and something we're all buying and said stock. It's like, what the heck? I made a video about it immediately, going, guys, this is what the scam is. Watch out, please, and watch this video if you haven't seen it already. I even this is the other videos that I mentioned about these guys, like the Stockmo guy. He and his buddy Larry Jones, but it's not just them. Many people on YouTube, they take payments in the tens of thousands of money. I can't remember exactly which it was. Maybe they took $20,000 or $30,000 on this particular videos to pump penny stocks essentially. And essentially, this shows that these people have very little moral character. I am showing you guys this because I just checked the headlines today. And it says GameStop is having a offering. They're going to sell a bunch of shares, 45 million shares, in fact. So essentially, they're going to be dumping a bunch of shares on retail, on you. AMC is doing the same thing. They're dumping 23 million shares, essentially raising money. And when companies are losing money, et cetera, that's what they're going to do. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of people out there that aren't interested in helping you. They're interested in enriching themselves, and they'll tell you whatever lies and pump up whatever nonsense in order to do so. I know I harp on this sort of point quite a bit, but I really want to emphasize these things with you because it's real. Unfortunately, it's just the same way as my crazy dream I just had. Some people are really nice at first, and you get to know them, etc., and you say, oh, he's a nice person, but ultimately you figure it out, I hope. And if not, sort of what happens is you get kind of sucked into this illusion, and they make you feel guilty if you're not successful. You need to give them more money. Oh, you're not successful. You got to take this other class that I'm offering. Oh, you're not successful. You got to do this other thing, right? And it's so ridiculous. I had a lot on my mind just the last couple of days, and this is sort of the stuff that happens when you do YouTube in this space. Is that you run into these dilemmas, right? Do I want to push out content that's just really, really popular, right? but it may not necessarily be the right way to talk about things, or may not necessarily be moral. I give you an example, guys, of, and this is stuff you have to face in your working life and your career all the time. This is another headline today. It says OpenAI dissolves team focused on long-term AI risks less than 1 year after announcing it. Just let that sink in. Like, this is the leading, AI company, and they had a team in place, staff members in place to be like, hey, we want to monitor what the risks of this is going to be, and then now they're disbanding it. And it was interesting because this timing of it is awfully suspicious. What I mean by that is it was just yesterday that two of the head people at OpenAI had decided to leave. So Sam Altman's still there, right? But a couple of his higher compadres have left, and now you find out that they're dissolving the the risk team essentially of AI. So not even going to worry about that. And essentially for them, it's just going to be a big money grab, which is not surprising. We've talked about this stuff before, when Sam Altman was like going to go to Microsoft and go grab the money over there, and then there was a big debate on what are we going to do about the money, and it seemed like essentially the inside OpenAI, they're having essentially moral discussions about do we want this technology to be safe, do we want this technology to be open, and what ultimately is the purpose of our said company. And obviously people are leaving now, and now you're dissolving your risk team. It looks like you're just going after the profits, and that's essentially what a lot of people out there in this world are doing. And I just made a video just before this one, and I always reference prior just because I want to include you in the conversation, sort of where my thought process is and where I'm coming from. I just made a prior video of there's a trading group out there that was basically like a pyramid scheme. God, this stuff is everywhere. And moreover, I just want to talk about how can I say, sharing thoughts and honest opinions and stuff is difficult in social media space, because people, they tune in and they just want their views reinforced. They're not actually interested in a real conversation or educating themselves. They just want their views reinforced to say, oh, well, I made the right decision, and I just want someone to tell me I made the right decision. And I always find that really awkward. One of the things that is valuable and important is to have conversations with people that, I can't say this enough, are going to be honest with you and give you an opinion based on facts, based on not necessarily just, I want you to be, my friend, and I'm going to tell you things that make you happy, right? Because sometimes your true friend will look out for you and tell you things maybe you don't want to hear. I'll give you a really simple example. So let's say you have a friend who's addicted to substance, right? They really like needles, and they like to do whatever, the shooting up. And, if your friend, what they want to hear is like, they invite you to, go shoot up together, and you're like, well, I don't really want to do that, right? And that would make them unhappy. What they want to hear is like, oh, I want to shoot up with you, and let's go do it together. How about every Friday we do that? I hope you guys understand what I'm saying here. And I know it's difficult to hear this kind of stuff, right? It is. And for many people, you go to work all day, and it's stressful at work, right? And then you go to the grocery store and you see how expensive everything is. And you're like, oh my God, what's going on? Guys, I go to the grocery store too. Every day I'm like, it just seems nuts. And then, the government tells you, oh, inflation's fine, don't worry about it. And you're like, what are you talking about? It's not reality. And many people, they come to YouTube or other things because they want to escape reality. They just want to be entertained. Hey guys, it's not like I don't like entertainment. I do. I laugh and I watch things for fun all the time. But also too, I like to be informed, and I like to be educated. And so, I don't know. I know sometimes the stuff I say is too complicated. It's hard to follow. I really know that, but I'm trying my best to address these complicated topics. Like for example, just the other day, I made a video regarding the need for truth, and talked a bit about politics. And there was a situation where Biden came out and was giving false numbers about inflation, and then I just felt like it's something I had to mention, because it was like crazy stuff, right? And then people get all upset. Either I don't hate Biden enough, or I don't like Biden enough, or whatever. And it's like, why can't we have honest conversations about these kind of things, or people get upset, oh, you don't hate Trump enough, or you don't like Trump enough. And again, why can't have honest conversations about these things? And whenever you bring up any of these kind of stuff, be it money or finance, relationships, people just turn their brain off and they get really, really emotional. And I'll just say this, and I want to respond to people who think I don't have the right political views and stuff like that. And I'll ask you this question: do you look at everything? Do you look at everything? When I present stuff, I look at everything, right? So I don't just selectively say, oh, I'm only going to talk about abortion, and that's why I don't like a certain kind of person, or I'm only going to talk about the war in Gaza, and that's why I'm not going to like a certain kind of person, or I'm only going to talk about taxes, and that's why I don't. But I literally try to talk about all of it, because I think it's a disservice to not address everything. The same way with any kind of stocks or any kind of thing with money. I think it's a disservice to not mention everything. That's why, guys, and I'll be curious how many channels you guys watch if people actually do mention CDs, savings, bonds, or if they only just talk about the hottest stocks and the hottest crypto, right? I tell you this stuff all the time too. Pay off your debts, especially in this environment. And what's so ridiculous about this, and just let this sink in, how many finance channels out there just push whatever hottest crypto there is, and they never talk about, hey, just pay off your credit cards. How many say that? And it's like the most practical advice is like, hey, pay off your debts, or hey, pay cash for car. And that, like, people don't want to hear that. They want to hear, my Tesla's awesome and Cybertruck's awesome. That's what people want to hear. They don't want to hear like, hey, you should pay cash for things. And I don't know. I know I'm kind of rambling a bit here, and I do that sometimes because there's so many things on my mind and I get frustrated. Someone asked me just the other day, how do I have energy to make videos all the time, or do I sleep? The answer is, guys, is I enjoy doing this stuff. It's fun. I was a professor for many years, and I enjoy like educating people. I think it's important. I like having conversations, and students still talk to me to this day. Just had a conversation with a student from it's like 2016. She was my student. Called me up out of the blue and just wanted to chat about her career and stuff like that. And when I think about, like, say, the stock mole person or whatever, and it's just a good example. Here he is here, who essentially plays for the short-term gain. Like, the short-term game is, I'm just gonna ride whatever hottest meme or whatever there is, but ultimately you're going to be burning people in the long run. And this is something that I think is important for you when you think about your life, the things that you do and the choices you make. Are you building those long-term relationships where people can develop trust with you over time? So I hope you understand my thoughts on this stuff. Please be careful out there, and I'll catch you next video.